welcome. We have such a treat for you tonight. A couple months ago, I was finally asked to do one of those radio plays, you know, where you get to go and do it for NPR, and it was a wonderful, interesting play called The Man Who Had All the Luck. It was Arthur Miller's first play back in 1944, and you sort of saw all the nascent themes set up for his future work. This man definitely had father, son, and brother issues, okay, from the beginning. But during the course of doing this play, we worked together for a week. I was able to spend some time with the actor who's about to join us tonight, and it was a lot of fun. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. James Gammon.
Thank you very much. Hi, how are you?
And he's not the least bit nervous.
No.
I asked him. He's ready and raring to go. So you and I have something in common.
What's that?
We both started out in this business as techies.
As what?
Techies.
Technical.
You were you worked as a camera person and a cable puller. How did that get started?
Well, I tried college.
Didn't work out for you.
I came home on a Christmas break. I wasn't having a good time at school. I was watching black and white television in Orlando, and says, that looks like it could be some fun. I went down.
Wait, what was it about it? What did you see that you thought might be fun?
It was local. I was listening to, to the local jabber. Mark Barker specifically had a show. And so anyway, I found out where the station was, and I went to the edge of town. It was a small town then, about 80-some thousand people. And I put in an application. And I sat down and in the lobby, said hi to as many people as I could, that came in. And
wait, what year is this?
This would be 1960,
1960.
late, just after Christmas.
Okay.
And there. And I came back every day. And I did that for about 6-7 days. And finally, the manager came out with a stack of applications in his hand, waving them. He says, come here, kid. He says, you get the job. These are college applicants, and you're not from college, but you're going to get the job. And
did he tell you why?
Yes, he says, because I was persistent.
Oh, okay.
And so I had a start in television, and I pulled cable, set up sets, ran around here and there, doing the odd jobs. And then eventually, shortly, I worked my way up to camera operator.
Wow. Because I don't think you'd be able to make that kind of transition now.
No.
Was it union at all?
No. Nope.
No union? Okay.
No.
And this was a local station?
It was a CBS affiliate, WLOF TV,
okay.
Cherry Broadcasting.
And they just looked at you and said, you have a good eye, come stand behind the camera?
Well, I had the director at the time who'd kind of liked me, a guy named Tom Grubbs, and Tom took the time to explain the rudiments of the camera to me and how to move it. And he says, well, just like reading something, Jim. There's periods here. You stop here. You got to learn how to frame. So he taught me framing, how to frame a picture, and the value of the lenses. And eventually, shortly, I moved up to a camera. And
what kind of stuff were they doing there? I mean, a lot of shows were taped. What were you doing that was live? The news?
Well, we did live. No, there was no tape.
No tape?
All live.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And very exciting. And we had Billy Graham, most best looking guy I ever saw.
Really?
Yeah. And
what was he? Did you like him as a person?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Very gracious, very handsome, tanned, gentleman.
Gentleman, okay.
Elegant, complete elegance, really. And then we'd have traveling troops come by. You know, the Gunsmoke people came by. Gosh, and then literally 4 years later, I was doing Gunsmoke. It was my first show when they got out to Hollywood. And I quit television when they brought a tape machine in.
Oh.
Because it got boring. You know, it was very exciting when it was live because everybody was, you know, on their toes and getting up for it. And then they brought this big machine in one day and had 2-inch tape and monitors, and everybody's energy just went right out of them. Because if you made a mistake, why, you could do it again and again and again. And nobody was blaming anybody, and it just, you know, the excitement went out of the business.
So what happened? How did you get called to go in front of the camera? What happened? How did you make that transition?
Well, that was a local theater in town. They had a theater. I've always been interested in theater. And so any off time that I was a Stardust player, of course, in high school. Got injured in athletics. I wasn't a very good athlete anyway.
And did you always have this voice, this fabulous voice?
No, that came from living. Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
So what happened? So you were doing theater while you were working at the TV station?
Yeah, I would do local theater.
What was your first play?
Auntie Mame.
What'd you play?
I played the young boy. You know, I had about 3 French words to say, as I recall, in there. I forget them now. But anyway, I got my name in the newspaper. It was very exciting.
Yeah.
And you know, I would read also I would constantly be reading these articles on theater in Chicago, in this magazine, Neighborhood Playhouse specifically. And then there was another theater in Minneapolis. And boy, that looks like fun. Those people sound real nice. And so I kind of, and I got soured quickly on television when tape came in, because it wasn't exciting anymore. I didn't have the winter clothes sufficient enough to go north. So I had a buddy who was going west, wanted to go west. And we came out to Hollywood in Christmas of 1962, turning 63.
Now, did you give any thought of going to New York, or you just knew you wanted to go west?
I really wanted to go to the Neighborhood Playhouse.
In Chicago. But your family's in Illinois, right?
Yeah. I did get to Illinois finally, worked at Steppenwolf.
Yeah?
Did a play there, yeah. And that was fun.
So what happened in 62? You got an apartment here, you and your buddy, or?
No, my buddy split. We separated instantly the second we got in town. I had a name of somebody to stay at for a night in the valley. And he told me about Hollywood just over the hill. And so just take a drive, and there's Lana Turner's, where Lana used to Schwab's.
Schwab's, yes.
And so why don't you go over there? So I did. You know, it was nothing, it was a coffee shop. And but it was nice. Then I had to find a place to stay, and I didn't have a lot of money. So there's a place that doesn't exist anymore, but it was on McCadden in Hollywood, and McCadden Place. And I could get a place for like $7.
A night?
I think so. I think it was about a night, yeah.
Oh.
And so I was there about a week. And I'll never, I was pretty naive about a lot of things. And of course, being frank, the homosexual world at that time was kind of, you know, what they called in the closet. And I was in the my room, and I'd met this nice young man. And we were having fun. We were talking about actors and actresses and everything. And finally, he got kind of bored and says, well, I'm going cruising. I'll go with you. No. So I didn't. And
were you surprised? When you
well, I
found
didn't figure it out till a long time later. You know, I didn't know. And then I went into this really wonderful place. It was called Aunt Charlie's. Not many people there, all guys, and I had a nice beer, good for $0.25. You know, and nobody bothered me. I had a good time. You know, good time. Hollywood was great.
So what did you must have realized you had to get an agent and auditions and pictures.
Yes.
And so how did you?
Well, I knew I had to get pictures.
Okay, so what that was
before I came.
All right.
Somebody mentioned pictures to me, and one of the engineers was kind enough to take a bunch of pictures of me. And so I'd known about Sunset Boulevard, you know, from Kooky. And
77.
Coleman, all that, yeah. So I came out and I went up and down the boulevard with these pictures that this engineer had taken of me. And
you couldn't even get a cameraman to take the pictures? The engineer took the pictures?
well, an engineer was actually the top cameraman.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
Yeah. But I went around and there was 2 people mentioned the same name of these offices I was going into, these agents' offices, and the name was Lawrence Park. Now deceased, rest his soul, and a wonderful man. And so I went to see Larry.
And what did he do? What was his job?
Well, he was an acting coach.
Oh, coach, okay.
And he had been learning up on the method. He had been with Lee Strasberg's group in New York, and he had done some casting on Lloyd Bridges' show, the water show. I can't recall the name of it right now.
Sea Hunt.
Sea Hunt,
That's
right. But he was coaching, and he was coaching the method, his impression of the method, and which I thought was very interesting. I didn't have any money at the time. I had $5 left, I think, and I gave it to him. And that was for the class. I had about 20. We were in a house on Willoughby at the time, and they was getting ready to move down to help me here, Nan. You know No, it wasn't on Waring. It was on Van Ness. Yeah. It became La Mama West eventually, but at the time it was a little teeny beauty salon we were converting into a theater, had 24 seats to it. And because I was willing to help out and work real hard, he gave me he used to give me my classes in exchange for my work and for helping him out. So, which is really great. It gave me a lot of experience and gave me a jump on the folks who had money and were actually coming less.
Who were some of the people that you were like hanging with at that point?
Oh, like hanging with John Dinos. You don't know John. He was in the soaps for a while. He's an art dealer now, really a collector. I don't know if there's anybody real famous. Timothy Scott, yes. Timothy.
He was like your closest friend.
Yes, he became my closest friend, and the best thing I ever saw Timmy in was fried green tomatoes. played an elderly guy there. He was absolutely brilliant. And then he was a PI in Lonesome Dove, a tall, skinny guy. Mm-hmm. Wonderful man, very funny. And he was the type of guy that everyone wanted to be his friend, you know, even though he didn't really care about being your friend or getting to know you. You wanted to get to know him. And I did. And we developed a partnership, and with Nancy, my wife, we got our theater called the Met in 1973, and we started doing theater, just like that.
Now, during this time when you were working on theater and taking some classes, did you have to have a B job to support yourself, or how did you make the...
Well, my brother at that time had some service stations.
Oh.
Before the big fall.
Out here?
Yes, out here.
Oh, okay.
And he helped out, and Nancy helped out.
This
take
is
care
his
of me.
lovely wife, Nancy, of 35 years.
Yes, thank you.
And their two beautiful daughters are also here, who you won't see, but this also Amy and Alice are here.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a very lucky man.
And they're gentlemen callers. Let's not forget the gentlemen callers.
Yes, the two gentlemen callers.
Yes.
I don't know, where are we?
You were working. You're slinging gas.
Oh, gas, yeah. And I worked for minimum wage for Phil. And then he became our first producer, really.
At the Met.
At the theater, right? Timmy, Scott, myself, and Nancy. And Tim and I got to do playing. He was very meticulous. I was like the bull in the china shop kind of guy. And Tim was very good with the wiring, the cleanliness, the very detailed man.
Now, Nancy, were you acting?
No.
Oh, you were the producing entity.
Okay. She made us look good. She was out front.
All right.
She would do the talking to the world. And
You put
Tim
the
and I
pretty
could
one
play.
out front. There
Right.
you go. Yeah.
And it worked out really good.
The Met's a great theater.
Do you know how the Met's name came to exist?
No.
Well, I'll tell you.
All right.
There was a woman, a fine actress by the name of Joanne Meredith. And she had a theater, an experimental theater. And it was on Poinsettia Place, just off Melrose. And so when we took it over from Joanne, we made a deal to take the theater. We decided to just keep the phone number, keep that Meredith experimental, but take it out. Let's make it M-E-T. Met. In my mind, it was short for Metropolitan.
That's what I always thought.
Right.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked.
Yeah.
And it looked good in print. And the first show that we did, we picked up out of the alleyways. And I directed, Nancy produced, and Timmy was in it because we'd trade off. I would direct, and then he would act, and vice versa as we progressed. And as luck would have it, and the gods would have it, and the theater critics, they tied us to the Amundsen, and we did Bus Stop. And
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
You know, we got kind of loaded a little bit, you know. And we went down for the celebrations and didn't expect any awards. And we got 5. And,
Wow.
And
Yeah. Let's give that a big hand.
thank you. Thank you. It was in '73, and my thought was this: man, theater's got to be pretty bad around here. Because what was directing? I didn't have any idea, except Larry, my instructor, and listening to him do his thing, and the little experience I had being directed from other people, but I never really thought about it. And But actually, it seemed pretty simple. Could you stay in the light? Could you move over there just a little more to that side? I tried to stay away from intellectualizing, the text and the explaining character and things like that. We just took things as they were, and panned out pretty good, really. And then we ran into some fine actors that were in town, and Nick Nolte being one. Nick came by. What a dedicated actor he was, and he practically would sleep at the theater. Wonderful, crazy, beautiful man. And then Bobby Carradine. We'd throw benefit. We'd use the theater for a lot of things. I remember we threw a benefit one time for a chap called Ramblin' Jack Elliott, and a musician. And a friend of mine named Sunshine Parker, who had come into town on the heels of Dan Blocker, but he was basically an academician from Texas, and more of a rock hound, and a scientific kind of oriented chap. And named Sunshine Parker, and he was a friend of Ramblin' Jack's, and he said, "Jim, Ramblin' Jack is hurting, and can we throw a benefit for him? We charge $5, maybe, and nobody gets in free. Ramblin' Jack doesn't want anybody in free. It's okay. Sounds good. And no tape. It's okay." And Ramblin' Jack came. And you were there, girls, just kids. And we were there, 49-seat theater. And I swear to this day that Ramblin' Jack elevated us up into some kind of beautiful space. And the very first thing after the show, first off, after saying no free tickets, he brought a bunch of freebies in. But the first thing he asked me as soon as that evening was done was, "Did you tape it?" Hoping that I had taped it, because as a rare event as it was for us, it was a rare event for him also. The little kids sitting around, and a bunch of people that loved him and his music.
And
a small atmosphere.
And you hadn't taped it, right?
No. Oh, no.
That's too bad.
No, I didn't tape it.
What's your favorite play that you've done?
My favorite play that I've done? Oh, wow. Well, most fun always was in the beginning, I guess. I have to say Bus Stop. I was you got to be the director there, and loved it. I loved all the Inge shows. We did 3 in a row of William Inge, one right after the other. And
did you do Picnic?
Yes, Nick played Hal in Picnic for us. And it was really funny because Max Baer, who had played the bus driver in Bus Stop for us, and Robert Mitchum's younger brother, John, by 2 years, played the sheriff for us. He's a wonderful man. And by the way, wrote that beautiful song, America, Why I Love Her, for John Wayne. Played the sheriff. And what am I driving at here, Nancy?
Did you do, your wife tells me you did a rather fabulous rendition of King Lear.
Well, I don't know about that. I've been a student of the piece for many years, and finally we decided to do it, found a good director, and one of my daughters, Amy, produced the show, and my other daughter, Allison, was Regan in the show. And
back in the day.
It was very exciting. We had a wonderful cast, and we had, I thought, kind of a pared down but very tight version of King Lear, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Now you were nominated for a Tony for Buried Child.
Yes. Didn't get it.
It's the honor. It's the being nominated.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was an honor. Yeah.
Did you work with Sam Shepard on that?
Oh, yes.
What was he was he involved in it besides the writing?
Yes, he directed.
Oh, he directed it. Okay.
No, Barry Child. No, Gary Sinise directed that, but Sam directed everything else that I'd been in.
Okay.
First one being Curse of the Starving Class, back in the late '70s, I think. And no, he didn't. See, I'm getting all this wrong. Robert Woodruff directed that. Sam came in. Sam didn't know me, and when he finally met me, he had come to Los Angeles, and he thought I was just an old drunk, basically. Kind of is what I heard, you know. When he first saw me, he said, just picked up an old drunk there. But he wanted the old drunk again in his next play.
Oh, okay.
And then in his next play, and then in his next play. So we did several together. And then Gary asked me, we were doing a little filming of something, and Gary asked me if I would be interested in doing a remake of Buried Child.
In '95.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, I would be. And so we did. We did the first production at Steppenwolf, and then took a break and went on to New York and did it there. Mm-hmm. And I was so relieved when the play was ending. It took a lot out of you to do the play. This character was on stage for all 3 acts.
I don't think there are really any easy Sam Shepard plays. He's a very demanding writer, I think, of his actors.
He is.
He's
wonderful.
Tough. Yeah.
His work and my feelings. I could grab hold of Sam's material pretty quickly. I think that's why we had that kind of a long time relationship.
How did you so when you had the Met going, you'd met your lovely wife, and you were supporting the theater, how did you make the transition into starting to do television roles?
I had an agent.
And you just started auditioning and getting them?
I had a good acting coach, Lawrence, as I'd mentioned, Lawrence Park, and Larry would have tried to get industry people in to see the plays and some of his actors that were working. And a good agent named Ricky Barr was her name, came by and took me on, got me on Gunsmoke. Mm-hmm. And this was my first role. And then several other parts for quite a few years.
And you sort of seemed to, in the beginning, you sort of grabbed hold of this sort of Western motif.
Well, you know, Gunsmoke was a situation of, they were on me for so many years and they needed new faces. Mm-hmm. So anybody that came into town, you know, could pretty much get a job on Gunsmoke. and I'm not, you know, I don't want to put anything down by making it sound that easy, but that's what it seemed like, mm-hmm. you know, and it seemed like everybody did a Gunsmoke. Everybody I knew seemed to come in practically did, and then you'd start to run the circuit because they were all going. There's the Bonanza, the Wild Wild West, the Virginian, High Chaparral, and that's how I kind of got going, was in the Western venue.
And what was your first film?
The most fun I ever had on a film, Cool Hand Luke. I didn't get any credit, but I did have a name. It was Sleepy. They paid me $600 a week. They gave me $25 extra a day and a place to sleep. And then I had all these guys that all we wanted to do was play cards all day and night, including Paul. And we did. So I lost half my salary, which was a total of $11,000 to learn to play cards. You know.
Would this be poker cards?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Not bridge. You weren't playing bridge. No bridge. No.
No, we actually had a guard when we got back in town. It was a Warner Brothers production. And
Where were you shooting?
we shot in Stockton, California,
Okay.
for a lookalike of Florida.
Oh, all right.
And we started the game. The second we were all going to take a plane together. We were going to meet at Warner Brothers and then drive a bus out to the plane, the whole cast, including Paul, all of us. And we did. And Strother Martin, if y'all remember Strother? Yeah. So Strother was on that bus, and he had a dollar bill and started everybody playing liar's poker
Oh, yeah.
right off the bat. Well, that started it. As soon as we got up to Stockton, got settled, Strother had a room in his room, had a poker game going. And Paul came, and everybody seemed to be filtering in and out of this poker game. Well, that poker game never stopped from the first day of filming. It seemed day and night until the show ended.
How long did you work on it?
3 months.
3 months? Wow.
And it was really an experience.
I'll bet.
Yeah, we had actually at Warner Brothers, we ended up with a bodyguard actually standing at the door of the area we were playing cards in. Because I don't think it was legal.
Was that to keep people in or keep people
Keep
out?
people out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
Did
I had
he
the
get to
greatest
come home
time.
on weekends, or did he just stay up there?
That was a great film. And I had the greatest time of my life doing that film than any other of my life.
Do you
I
think?
was the youngest. I was the baby of the group. And I was constantly amazed, constantly having fun. And Paul was a wonderful man. His introduction of himself to me when we met was he used to wear a Coors beer opener around his neck. 'Cause his beer was Coors, and by golly, we were breaking the beer out about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That beer was coming out. Anyway, Paul says, let's make it official. I'm Paul Newman. Of course, I've always been a fan of his. I used to, read books that he was stars of Star and Phil, The Silver Chalice. I remember reading that book when I was a kid in a swing in the Middle West. And then I saw Paul in doing this character that I'd read in this book. And I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah.
And,
Me too, but probably for different reasons.
Probably. Yeah. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. I met a lot of wonderful people. Some were very close to this day. And I had a great time. I was 24, I think, at the time we shot that. 24, 25, something like that.
Now, you never, if you look at your credits, of the 8,927 things you've done in your career, it seems like you have always worked very steadily. Did you ever have any low periods or downswings?
Well, I must have. I just kind of don't recall them because we weren't doing film, we were doing theater. Mm-hmm. So we were always doing something, and the jobs kind of seemed to just,
But once you started acting and started making money, you never had to have like a day job, did you? You were able to support yourself through your acting?
Oh, and Nancy. The greatest days are the salad days, the tough days, and Nancy made our tough days the easiest days. She had a car. She had a little money, and she took my love. And she's been wonderful.
Were you doing a job back then besides working at the theater?
I had a few jobs.
Oh, you had a few jobs. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So it was
she
a
did.
partnership.
As a matter of fact, there was a name. She used to work for a man named Henry Bamberger. And we was out at Skirball.
Oh, sure.
There's this institute of a lot of things out off the freeway. Skirball, it's called. And very large institution and had many branches of learning parts to it, theater being one of them. And I was looking at the founding members, and doggone if there wasn't Henry Bamberger's name on there, which I came home and mentioned to her, because she was always talking about Henry. I never ever met Henry, but I felt that I knew him.
So then, where was there a point in time where you're doing your theater and putting up plays when you're not working as guest star or films? Did you ever get discouraged, or was it always just kind of you were just along for the ride?
I never got, there was a period of time when a person asked me one time, "What are you looking at your shoelaces for, Jim?" I didn't know I was. I was seeing so many people. When I was, in the beginning, when I started out, everyone was a stranger. I owed no one nothing. Mm-hmm. And I only showed up to do my job. And then we became friends. We came to know one another. Along with this came a little bit of jade. And in some instances, when I decided that I should have a bar to go along with the theater, so we lived here, the theater was here, and then the bar became available there. And that's when things got tough. I don't know if that answers your exact question that you asked me. But hopefully in a roundabout way it will, that I became jaded. Mm-hmm. And I lost some of my integrity that I had as a young man. I was prided myself on a certain regimen, certain way of doing things. I was getting sloppy. Mm-hmm.
So what did you do to bring yourself?
Well, Nan stuck me through this whole lousy period, and we eventually saw it through. Mm-hmm. Eventually saw it through. We came out on the other side. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever give any thought to doing something else? Saying,
we did. Yeah, we did horses. We raced horses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, went down to Florida, back to Florida, and got some horses. Started breeding horses. And we had some good luck. We're still doing it. Mm-hmm. But in 2000, we really got lucky. We got so lucky. There's, I think, 37 grade 2 winners a year. There's grade 1's the highest grade you can get, grade 2 and then grade 3 in the racing thoroughbred world. And we were lucky enough to come out from Florida to California with a filly that we bred on our farm down there, and she beat the juvenile champion from the year before. Well, it's a 2-year-old. Now as a 3-year-old, beat this filly in a 7-furlong run called the Santa Ynez. And it was a grade 2 race, which is really a big race. My head went right through everything. I mean, my heart, everything. Because it's really tough to get a horse. You can be in your business, that business your whole life, generations of people, and not be lucky enough to get a grade 2 winning horse.
Wow.
It's hard enough to get a winner. Mm-hmm. Get a claimer, get an allowance, get a stakes, but get a graded horse. The good Lord is looking after you.
That's nice.
Something good's happening for you. And we still have relatives of that. We still have her mother. Do
you still go down to Florida?
No, we'll be going in a couple of weeks or less.
Oh, because that's where your mom is too, right?
Yeah, Ma's birthday's coming up. Yeah, she'll be 88. And I gotta get. and we'll spend a couple weeks there, and then we'll be back out here.
Now, I noticed that when I was looking over your 8,722 credits, that you also did a couple different series.
Yeah.
You were on Homefront, you played the coach,
Yeah.
and then you played for 6 years, Nash Bridges' dad.
That's right. Yeah.
Now,
Thank you.
how do you like that as an actor, that ongoing series work?
Oh, I loved it. Don, of course, Kyle now has his own new series, that Texas series, and that was fun. But I had the long run on that one, and I enjoyed it. They let me keep the farm. Mm-hmm. At first, they made me come out to California to come back out and live, and transfer. But they let me keep the farm, and then I just got a little let in San Francisco. And when they needed me, I made a deal for half the batch, and I would fly out, and we'd work. And the seats were easy. Don was paranoid that I looked too young, so the time, and this is a few years ago, so we started off, I was 79. When we ended the show, I got to be 70. I worked my way down to 70. And now I'm 67. So I'm making it slow but sure. It's just taking time.
He's a character.
Don? Mm-hmm. Oh, he is. Mm-hmm. And is a wonderful man, besides being a character. Mm-hmm. And a good actor, too.
So did you, and so that you'd be flying, well, now where's the farm? That's the.
Ocala, Florida.
Okay, so that's the same place.
That's in the north central part of the state.
Oh, okay.
I went down back for a class reunion once with Nan and I, and we decided to come up and see somebody in Ocala, which is north of Orlando. And we turned around, saw this little farm for sale, and we just took it. And flew back to LA, and after making the deal, and then throughout the years we were back and forth.
Does somebody take care of it when you're not there?
Yes, my sister and her husband.
You got animals and crops and everything?
Well, no, we don't do crops. It's crops of horses.
Oh, okay, crops of horses, all right.
So we do, yeah. And we've cut way back on that too, because there's nothing can get in trouble like a horse can. I mean, if there's trouble to be had, the horses will find it. If there's a loose nail or a splinter, or just anything you can think of, a horse will find it. And they're very expensive. Mm-hmm.
Are you an equestrian yourself?
No, not really. I ride. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't call myself a horseman. Because to me, a horseman has to carry the banner of veterinarian, and you almost have to know as much as a vet, and you have to know how everything's tied together, and the working world that exists. It's hard to be an owner and know the thoroughbred business. You kind of have to get out there and start breeding yourself, and then you'll get the real idea of what's going on. But just being an owner or part of a group in a horse is never enough. It's not. You won't really learn how the business operates at all. And we did, and still do. Mm-hmm. A lot of it's pretty scary. Pretty scary, because there's so many ways to be taken in that world, and we were taken a lot. Mm-hmm. But we had to be taken to learn. In other words, by taken I mean overcharging.
Right.
You for putting your horse up, not telling you if your horse, not revealing to you particular problems that a more knowledgeable horseman that's associated with you might be aware of and should have disclosed this information to you, doesn't. People, it's a business that you have to be very careful with.
Now, did you find having this sort of outlet, I mean, what would you spend like 1 or 2 months a year there, or a season, or, I mean, was this a good distraction for you to sort of get away from the business and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great place to put the thinking. The breeding is the most interesting part of the horse world. The thing is that you, unlike, it's the turnaround so quick. Mm-hmm. You know, the genetics is so quick. As humans, it takes a long while before you get up and you can do something. But if you're of the horse world,
It's
2
fast.
years later, you're you're out there.
Wow.
And you get to see your choices that you've made, and the sires that you've picked, and how the bloodlines work together. And so that's interesting. That's the most interesting part of it,
Yeah.
really.
Now, but you continue, I mean, you work steadily as an actor. I mean, you're just still plugging away.
Yeah.
Is there anything you haven't done that you want to, in terms of a project you haven't done, a character, directing?
Yeah, I'd like to be myself.
In a movie?
Anything. I mean, I've always felt the need to act, you know, and there's only one person ever called me on it, and it was Tony Scott. We did a movie, what's the name of that movie, honey? That
Revenge?
Revenge, yeah. And I played this old broke, beat up cowboy, and who over-abused himself in every way that you could. Anyway, in my reading, I really huffed and I puffed, and he flat out said, his words were, "Jim, stop this acting." Stop acting? Oh, don't act? Be me? Well, he came the closest to getting me to relax, to not put on it, you know, things. And I thought he did anyway. And I really appreciated that, you know. It shocked me in the beginning.
Did you want to do more of it after you got a taste of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's hard.
Because
It's hard.
Hard because you get typecast, or hard because
You don't want your naked self out there. You know? Mm-hmm. It's the hardest thing in the world. I appreciate actors that can do this. Mm-hmm. And they're the brilliant ones. I've always put on these airs and tried to make more of things, you know. For example, 20 years ago, I was doing a film with Lawrence Kasdan, a wonderful man and director.
Which one?
Silverado.
Oh, yes.
And I was playing this outlaw, leader of the outlaw band. And so I put on this voice and said, "Well, you brought a posse to my best hideout and you want to know if I mind." He says, "Could you do that in your regular voice?" He says, "You brought a posse to my best hideout and you want to know if I mind?" He says, "Go back." So I guess there is something to to that, you know, acting.
Do you still do theater?
Yes, I haven't for a bit, but I will.
I mean, I have found in my career I've gotten to do all sorts of things on stage that I probably will never be able to do on film or television. I mean, that's a great place to get to really sort of play and do what you want.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. The better, finer material, quite frankly, seems to be in the theater. Plus, you're live. You know, you have the folks there. It's like having another character in the play. Mm-hmm. It really gives you the guts to, you know, the great warmth and excitement. There's nothing like, it's not like going out and do it, because you can do a retake. Mm-hmm. You can't do a retake when you're doing theater. Mm-hmm. You know, and that wonderful energy has to be there for you. It's very exciting. And had years of that excitement. I do like
Now,
it.
you don't have Met anymore, right?
No. I closed out 30 years with the Met, with Lear.
What year?
Well, what year? It was this, 3 years ago?
So you just did, okay.
Yeah, made that the finale. Yeah. But, you know, I suppose, of course, I would, you know, once upon a time do some more theater work. But I'm not rushing out anywhere.
I'm going to open it up to our questions from the audience, which I will not ask in any particular order. So, here we go. Carmen wants to know, how has the business changed since you began?
People don't know, the people in the business, this was a smaller town. And there was 3 networks, some independents, and the majors. And they had talent programs, most of them. People got to know you. And it was easier for you that way. And that's changed. It's harder for someone to get a start, I think, probably today in the business than it was back then. I know it is.
Do you think it's partly because the entertainment industry is so much larger and so much more global? And
Absolutely. And there's a lot of wonderment in that too, and a lot of good in that. But it's boy, I mean, it's more global and wonderful that way. But at the same time, it's taken out a lot of shtick out of the movie-making business. But as far as a community existing, it's become more complicated. It's become harder to get to know someone.
do you think it's still, I still sort of think Hollywood is still kind of a small town, though, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, you see the same people, names and titles may change, but it's sort of the same people over and over again, you know?
Yeah, I suppose that, you know, I find it, my first reporter in Variety cost a dime. I have it back at the farm. I saved my copies when I advertised in there and what I paid for it. It's $3.50 today just to read a more complicated, globalized world.
Right.
With the internet and it's brought such exciting things to everyone and more instant knowledge than I ever dreamed that might be possible.
Right.
And absolutely refuse to participate in. But
What does that mean? You don't do computers?
that means I don't monkey around too much with the internet. Yeah. But I appreciate what it is and its capabilities and what it can do, you know, for this world. And this world says we're in sore need of a lot of good help. You know.
I cannot read this name, but I think it's Thushari. Do you prefer directing? Oh dear. Fun fan films like Major Leagues or more serious dramas?
Well, that's hard. It's difficult. Where are you?
Directing? You didn't direct Major League.
No, I didn't direct Major League. I was just an actor in it. But I enjoyed direction. I haven't directed for a while. But I would like to do more comedy. I always, even when I do characters that are tragic, i.e. in nature, I always try to find something in there, you know, that's humorous. There always seems to be, and I think I can't recall a play that I've done that I haven't got some laughter in, in my life. It's very important to me, and establishes. You get the feeling of an audience. You get a laugh. If it's a good laugh, I'm not talking. I wouldn't prostitute a character.
No
for a
cheap
laugh.
laughs for you.
No cheap laugh. It's got to be there.
Right. Gabrielle wants to know, how do you sustain or keep an emotion for a scene, take after take after take?
You have to ritualize it. You have to go back, take that little bit of till it's in your mind. Mm-hmm. Now, hey, Bill Conrad, or is it Bob?
Bob, I think.
Cannon. William Conrad. Well, when I was a youngster and I was doing his show and I was, had these cards, he was all over the place, everywhere you would look.
I mean, cards
all
like
his
reading his
dialogue.
lines?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, brother, what's this? Well, I just finished a show not too long ago, Grey's Anatomy. And I seem to understand it all, but every once in a while there would be this little glitch. Something would just disappear. Oh no, not now. And Bill, the director, came and says, Jim, you want me to get some of the Carter? You wouldn't mind? Yes, just get a card up there. Because it's so easy. Now, if you know your character, you know who you are, you know what you're doing, what's supposed. Why get stopped by a little line? Mm-hmm. You don't have the time in television to ritualize something that you do in theater, to make it inherent,
right.
to have your lines timed with your emotions, your movements, and everything, and plus a lot of repetition. So why not? Because that camera can't see it. That audience doesn't know.
Do you have any particular roles that you look back on with great pride? You feel like if you see it now, you go, yes, I did.
Well, my pride is in the eyes of the audience, really. And so the pride in the television film world would be Major League, the character in Major League, because it's had the most effect on the most people. Mm-hmm. They like the lines and the way I delivered them, and I've had conversations with young girls, 10 years old, who knew my lines better than I did. And yeah.
Do you have anything you look back on and go, God, I wish I hadn't done that, or I wish I'd really done that differently?
The first thing I ever did, I wish I hadn't done.
Cool Hand Luke?
No.
Oh.
I never got paid for this one.
Oh.
They had me murder a chicken for them, and my dear friend Tim and I were on this film together. And then whatever happened to it, I never know. Thank goodness I never saw it. But they wanted me to I was having a fight with Tim, and that's in our characters, and I was supposed to, and he says, can we kill the chicken and throw the head on the guy? I said, will you eat it? If I kill the chicken, will you eat it? Will you prepare it? He says, yes. Well, absolutely. Okay. So I pet the chicken down, get him quiet, take him, boom. And, the head, then I throw the head at Tim. Well, the chicken's flopping all over. He flops in between us. We finished this whole messy thing up at the end of the day, and I see at the very fine, when it's getting dark, I see the chicken in a ditch. Oh. As well, that was the first thing I ever did. And I didn't get paid. Neither did Tim. And I murdered a chicken. You know. I tell you, you think about things like that more than you probably oughta. But never really leaves you. Feel a little bit less of a really real person.
Yeah. That goes along with my thesis that I would definitely be a vegetarian if I had to kill my own meat. It's only because it comes in nice little packages at Ralph's, that I'm able to be a carnivore. Scott wants to know, what drew you, I think we sort of did this. What drew you to the business and when did you start acting? I think we kind of covered that. Mark, you've talked about it a little bit, but can you tell us a little bit more about your collaboration with Tim Scott for 30 years?
Well, Tim, wasn't quite 30 years, but they were great years. Tim, well, like I said, we'd switch off, we'd trade. We had great times together, socially as well as just in working, and he was very funny. He probably is one of the funniest, or the funniest people I've ever met in my life. And it's just, I always thought, wow, boy, it's a shame, just a shame that he isn't on Johnny Carson or something like that, because he was so facile. His mind was so quick. He could invent stories and characters out of nowhere and bring them together and make you laugh. And how can you do this? He would also, he made you proud to be a friend of his just because he liked you. People were terrified of Tim.
Why?
He had a lot of loner in him. And we used to have a bar called the Rain Check Room in town. Remember the Rain Check Room? For actors. And so Tim sometimes would have a whole booth by himself. He's sitting there at this booth having whatever he was drinking, a little wine. Pity the soul that wanted to become a friend of Tim's and would try to get into that booth. And nobody was but Tim. And because he would read him a riot act for it. What are you doing here? What do you want to be my friend for? Get out of here. It was rough and tough. He was brilliant, a very detailed man. I loved him. And I respected him, and I frustrated him a lot. But we had a great relationship. We really did, and I've never had another one before him, another partner before him, nor another partner really after him. He was it. He was a great one. Yeah.
Oops, glasses. Boston says, love your voice. Has it always been like that? Or how did you develop? Now, we know life helped, but did you do anything in particular?
Well, just to make sure, because theater world, you have to learn to resonate. And the tendency is to gobble oneself, to not, to have us, not speak up, not get it out. And I remember one of the exercises that I used, and my coach used to tell people about, he didn't make fun of me, he used an example. I'd practice talking to things that were farther away than somebody here. There wasn't anybody there, but I would pretend that you were there, and I'd talk to you. And he caught me talking to doorknobs one time. And he had to use that as an example, the links that I went to kind of help myself along a little bit with projection. If the doorknob was, I'd talk to the doorknob over there. Hey, Get it out. Get it out of yourself.
Was this voice scary when you were little girls? Yeah.
Really?
When you're in trouble and you get the voice coming at you.
Yeah. I thought, sorry.
And comforting. Good, good. Bethany wants to know, do you have a particularly memorable scene you've done and what made it stand out from the others?
Yeah. The first play that I ever did of Sam Shepard's was this Curse of the Starving Class with Olympia Dukakis and at the Public Theater in New York. And the young man playing my son, I had a line where I was drunk and I threw him up against the wall and I said, "You can see it, can't you?" Yeah. The fifth is I'm trying to get the exact line. I didn't ask for it, kid, but I got it. But I didn't ask for it. I got it. I think that is probably the truest line that I've ever spoken. I think that's the truth of life. Nobody asked for it, but you got it. And you got to deal with it. And that didn't strike me until later in life. But something kept coming back to me. And I always hear it. I heard it as a refrain in life from people. I didn't ask for this situation. I didn't ask for that. Nobody did. None of us. We're all in it together, and none of us asked for it. But we got it. And when a drunk has it, Sam Shepard's brilliant, and it really just resounds, And thinking of Sam, I wonder how Sam's doing. He's got a Western coming out, He's playing Frank James and advertising here.
Are you in it?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm not. But after a long time of not talking to Sam, we finally had a talk the other day, a week or so ago. And he informed me that he had this coming out. And they're doing the play I did in San Francisco here, the late Henry Moss at CBS Theater or something, which I think in September. I look forward to seeing that. I'm not going to be in it, but I'm take a look at it.
Do you get recognized on a regular basis on the street?
Yeah. So this is some funny instances, I'll tell you. I did a movie called Cabin Boy years ago. I was down at the New Met Theater, and I was just about walking down the street, getting ready to go into the door, and this chap was coming by in a little car, and he stuck his hand out. He says, "Pap! Hold it!" And just tried to pull his car over in the street and stop. And I says, "The guy recognized me as Pap?" The only thing that I remember of Pap, the moment I really enjoyed, I must be honest here in this show, was using his head as a nutcracker. When he fell through, placing a nut there and banging his head on my nut. I never could, for the life of me, I know it's a cult kind of favorite for a lot of folks, and they do love it, and the people that made it were wonderful. But as I look back on the film, I still haven't grasped it. Still haven't got there yet.
Well, That's it.
That's it?
That's it from
All
the
right.
questions that we have here.
All
So
right,
this is the part where we get to open it up if we have any people who want to ask something live because you've been inspired by what we're hearing.
Oh, is an arm back up there?
There you go. So this gentleman has seen you both in Simpatico and Barry Child,
Yeah.
and feels that you got to use a lot of your horseman ability in Simpatico.
Yeah.
And did Sam Shepard direct it?
Sam directed it, and I had a little horse knowledge, you know. His fascination was the large size of Secretary's Heart, and that great horse that ran in '73, and set that record at Belmont. But also, he based those characters, that gal in that play was on a real person that I've met and that live in Midway, Kentucky. So partially, there's always partial realities lying around, I'm sure, when Sam writes. It's not just coming out of the thin air somewhere. It's something real. In Simpatico, the character was based on a guy that got ramrodded out of town, out of the Southland here. And he based that character on. And the young woman in there was based on a woman that he had met in Kentucky, a married, nice woman, and he knew her husband very well. And they were in the horse business and still are, and have a big stud farm in Kentucky. And so Sam is a blend of so many things. And to sit down and talk with Sam, is like, this is Sam Shepard? How can a guy be this nice? How can a guy be just this regular? Just a regular human being, and be Sam Shepard. Well, no, great stuff. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if I answered anything for you there.
David, can you go over here? We have another question. Oh, sorry.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine, thanks.
You mentioned you were a fan of Paul Newman when you first started out. I'm sure
Sure.
many other actors when you first started. Any today that you see that you're like, yeah, that guy's good or that girl's good, or it's just a whole different blend of actors out there nowadays?
I don't watch I watch, but I don't watch like I used to watch. George C. Scott is an A1 kind of actor. Yeah, the great George C. There's a lot of fine actors. There's so many. It's hard for me to single one out today.
Is there anybody you'd like to work with that you haven't?
That I'd like to work with that I haven't. Probably a lot of them. I just.
Like, did you enjoy, I mean, I personally think the cast of Grey's Anatomy is very talented. I think that's an extraordinary
Yeah.
group of actors.
Yeah, a nice group.
Yeah,
too.
very nice.
James Pickens was nice, and the young woman that I worked with was very nice. You know, I'm not in touch like I used to be with.
Who's doing what?
Yeah, really. Even
Yeah.
though when I read the trade papers, I look for certain things. You know. But it's hard to keep up with It's hard to keep up with the crowd really moving and shaking that I used to keep up with. Mm-hmm. It's not the same anymore for me. And I do have, philosophic interests.
Did you always feel like you were one of those actors who had to act? Were you a I have to act actor?
Got to do this. Mm-hmm. And I got to do it because people move. They do things because you do something. And I never found that out. I was in the 7th grade when I found this out. And my teacher, Mr. White, is in a little town in Illinois, had me read a piece out of this book. And I read this piece out of this book. I heard people start to laugh. I thought, oh boy. And it wasn't nasty laughing, you know, it was just good laughing. And next year I did my first play, Toby Trims a Christmas Tree. And I got to play Toby. And I just, you know, and poor people were really roaring in that production. But the reason they were roaring, I used to wear pants in this farm town, and I used to wear pants, you know, those bib overall kind of things. Mm-hmm. But they had them halfway too, they cut off. So you had your pliers, pocket, and that and this and that. I'd tuck my shirt in real good. I tucked it into my underpants. Yeah. So my laughs weren't
They weren't pure.
They weren't pure laughter, but I didn't really care. You know, even after I found out much later, it bothered me a little bit, but not for long. You know, the laugh's a laugh. You know, and
Yes.
they were good.
Yes, sir.
I actually have a comment, not a question. As wonderful as Jimmy's an actor, he's also a wonderful human being, as his whole family is. I have the pleasure of knowing them, and they're all wonderful. And I can
Well,
see
who
where
are
it came
you?
from.
Stand up and take a bow. I didn't mean that. Thank you.
All right, we have a young lady down here, running with the microphone.
Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you. And you have such a great sense of humor and such a wonderful philosophical way of seeing things. Have you ever considered writing?
Yes. But my problem there is I get half a sentence. Something's wrong. I can never get it right.
Really?
Never get it perfect. So why write?
And have you considered like taping what you would write? And so just sort of, I think a lot of writers sometimes just record what they want to say and then they go back and they shape it.
You know, I've never thought of that.
Nancy, go buy that tape recorder right now.
I really thought of that, but I love doing other people's things. I really do. That's the excitement in life, you know, these authors. So there's some brilliant people out here in this world that have been around, old ones, new ones. And it gives you insight, you know,
Yeah.
into your own life and other people's lives and times. And if you weren't doing what you were doing, why, you just wouldn't know some of these things. You wouldn't think about them.
Oh,
So I'm forever grateful, and thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you for your
asking
insight.
that
Thank
question.
you.
The wife unit wants to say something now.
Oh, yeah. How's up, boss?
Hi. Jim, don't you think it would be fun to do a reunion of Cool Hand Luke? Like with Joe Don Baker and Ralph Waite and Harry Dean Stanton, Paul Newman. There are so many.
If there were to be a reunion,
Wayne
that
Rogers.
would probably be one to be had. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm going to call Joe Don now that you brought his name up.
Paul Newman just retired, just announced it.
Yeah.
80 years old.
Yeah. Kind of got tired of the memorization portion, the energy.
Our town, and he went up a couple of times.
I could appreciate it.
Said, that's it, I can't do it.
He is a good man, honorable man. And hey, you know, someday, and I've already faced a bit of that. You know, like a time when I give me the card, but that's TV.
What was that like? Was that scary?
Oh yeah, it's scary.
Having the card?
Here's the thing: get up. Did you ever get up? You take off. You're going somewhere.
Yeah.
But I know that everybody has, it's not only us older folks. Was I going to that cabinet for what?
I found a trick though. I find if I go back downstairs
Yes.
to exactly where I
retrace.
was, retrace my steps, then I'll go, oh, that's what I went up there for.
Give yourself a few more years.
We have a question from this gentleman over here.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
My name is John Mercedes. What is your next film or two you're prepping to do?
You did 2 this year that aren't out yet, right?
Well, there's a little baseball film that should be coming out. The final season with Sean Astin. That it isn't out yet. There's one that I did. It's not coming out.
Wait,
Someone.
In the Electric Mist?
Oh, yeah. I did a thing with Tommy Lee Jones on Louisiana called In the Electric Mist. That was a brilliant, some brilliant writing there. James Lee Burke, I believe.
And Otis E. Played the sheriff?
Yeah, Otis E. Yeah, I played the sheriff there. But, yeah, forgot all about that.
I printed this out for both of us, hon, remember? And Jesse Stone, Sea Change?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You've had a busy year. You did Monk this year.
Yeah,
You did the Grey's Anatomy. You did Altered. No, that was last year.
that was last year.
Yeah, that was
That monk is something else.
The person or the
The
show?
person. He reminds me of a young Paul Newman. Boy, he pitches in with every single ounce of everything he's got in every moment, no matter what. And that was very impressive working with him.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that.
And and off camera, he's like the softest spoken,
Softest
sweetest
spoken,
man.
sweetest, nicest guy.
His daughter and my daughter go to the same school together. You would never know this man is a movie star type.
No.
You know, I mean, he's just
Not at all.
completely down to earth, regular old guy.
Is he old?
Regular young guy. God. We have a question over here from my old friend.
Hello, I'm Gary Zahalski. I was wondering on that last show with the Mystic thing with Tommy Lee Jones, and did you get to meet most of the cast, and did you meet people you didn't meet before and enjoy the time?
The most social fun that I had, because it was very quick, was I went to lunch with Tommy Lee and his wife, and
But you've known him for years, right?
no,
Oh,
Timmy
I thought you
Scott
had.
has known him for years.
Oh, okay,
Tim got
okay,
to act
so-
with him in a play with Tommy directing down in Texas. And Tommy Lee Jones loves Tim, and Tim loved Tommy Lee. And Bill Sanderson.
Mm-hmm.
The topic of my conversation was about two of the people I'm crazy about and have known for years, Bill Sanderson and Tim Scott. And that's what Tommy Lee and his wife and I talked about while we were eating pork chops at Betty's. Yeah. And we went over there because Tommy Lee wanted me to taste these pork chops. And when Tommy Lee wants something, he's probably one of the most powerful actors and gifted actors that I have met in my travels. And I can't recall ever seeing him in anything that I haven't respected him and been amazed at some of the things he's done, especially on that Kennedy piece when he played that blonde-haired homosexual. It was wonderful. But many things. And he's a straight-on nice guy. Yeah, I enjoyed that. A couple hands.
Aside from the Cool Hand Luke reunion, is there something that you're aching to do, that you're just dying to do? Is there a role or a project that you just, man, I can't wait
There
to
was
do
only
that?
one role to go back to.
Cabin boy?
Thanks a lot. This second banana is wonderful. No, it's Lear. You'll never get it all. But the thing is, I studied for 20 years, tried it, readings all the time as years go by, finally did it, and still come out afterwards seeing all these mistakes, just slews of mistakes and realities that were forgotten, that weren't dealt with. And it's staggering. So if there's anything that I would go back to, it'd be that one there. I'm not 80 yet. You know. In particular, the thing that brought me to this thing of wanting that so bad is the mistakes that I made, that it couldn't be corrected. And what happens is, how can an audience truly enjoy some of these moments if these moments aren't known by an actor? If they aren't realized in truth by an actor, how can an audience appreciate it? Impossible. Like when Lear comes back from the lettering, riding his horse for a day full out at 80. Well, if you don't have that reality with you, as you come face your oldest daughter in the scene where she upbraids you, the audience will not be able to fully appreciate the tragedy and the humor that's in that moment. And I missed, and I know it. So that's the one piece that really holds an interest for me. It's fun.
Have you ever coached anybody or wanted to teach? You have such a passion about it.
No. I don't think I have the full roundedness that good young actors need coming up. I wish that, the disciplines, I just don't think that I have the equipment, for that.
Do you have the patience?
I don't know.
Damn shaking your head no.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? It's Danny Arroyo.
Stan?
I hear that there was a screenplay that you're a big fan of, Hell at 30 Below, from
Yeah.
Karen Kinsman. Yeah.
Yes.
Anything you can tell me about it? Because she told me, this is how we're connected in a way. She contacted me and spoke highly of you. I mean, really highly. And
I've known Karen for
she
many
said
years.
that she said that you're a proponent for her. You've inspired her to write the novel into a screenplay, and that you're interested in doing it. And I was just like, wow, that's really great stuff. And anything about this screenplay that really got to you, that made you want to be a part of it?
It's good. It's a good piece. It's a love story of parts and pieces going wrong here and there in lives, and it's about making it right with yourself, with your family. It's about a lot of things, really. Karen's very talented and lives up in that great state of Maine. I know her husband very well, and he's a fine artist. And I would like to do her piece. I'll get it together.
Besides the time you spent working, keeping your theater alive, did you ever think about going towards, developing your own projects and that whole brouhaha,
I occasionally delude myself to that. I can, become this or that or do this or that. The older that I get, the less that I want to expend certain energy in these directions sometimes. I want to make sure of kind of what I've got hold of here, Time runs down the old path, and for all of us. And I just want to kind of, I don't want to make too many obvious mistakes.
Did you feel like when you started out and you said, I'm going to Hollywood, it was like, I want to be a movie star? Or was it like, I want to be a working actor?
Actor.
Actor? Okay. Do you feel like you were more ambitious in the beginning, more driven? Yeah, me too. It does go away.
Oh, yeah.
You just can't sustain it.
Oh, that's right.
You reach a certain point and you go, I'm good. I'm all right.
Yeah. Well, you've been a nice group. Yeah.
Oh, wait, this gentleman here had, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I did?
I was wondering how your theater work or theater training helped, or maybe it didn't, when you were doing film. That's the first part of my question.
Well, Mr. Park made it a point to have us do pieces out of television and movies. He went to the lengths of even telling us what it was going to be like in makeup. And they're going to go to your left eye, then your right eye, lift, all those little teeny things. He was an amazing man. And not that you remembered all of this, but he tried to get it into us. And we did read a lot of, since he had access to a lot of television shows, material and that, and we would cold read and work from those.
And any tips that you can sort of pass on to us as far as keeping something fresh and real and honest for film?
Something, keeping it real and keeping it honest. Just keep reminding ourselves. And it's hard. Practice. Think these honest things don't sometimes come so easily. And what may be honest to me is one honesty, but what is honest to the audience is the honesty that is most meaningful. Am I in what I'm doing giving the author's intent to the audience? I don't want to sidetrack anyone, because I think I have a few times, but to try and keep that fire alive and honest and real that the author has provided us. It's a very exciting thing to have authors have revelations from things that they've written that they didn't know they had written, that when you read their work, that's very exciting. I've had guys say, I didn't know I wrote that. But so writers do write things sometimes that they don't know they've written. All of it completely. Because when you write a line, it represents a lot of things. Have I answered your question at all?
When you were starting out and starting to get work and starting to work on a regular basis, did you ever have points in your career when you said, I shouldn't do this role for X, Y, or Z reason? Or were you like, if somebody offered me a role, I'm going to do it?
If my agent, if it was film or television, it always came through an agent.
Mm-hmm.
If it was theater, hello. True West?
True West.
I know it's on the tip of your tongue.
Any which way you can.
Oh,
Is this a choice between a play and a film?
yes. Yeah, Sam Shepard offered me
True West?
True West.
Another really easy Sam Shepard play.
But Timmy and I, as a matter of fact,
Did you play the brothers?
we had, at the very first reading Sam ever had, Timmy and I played the brothers in the reading.
Wow.
And Sam called me. We were living on Poinsettia Place at the old Met, and I had just gotten a job, and you were very little babies. And Clint Eastwood's company was offering me $4,000 for a week's work. And I needed that money. I asked Sam, it was the most painful time of my life. And can I have some time to see if I can work this out? He says, I got to know in about 3 days. He says, give you 3 days. So I called him back in, said I couldn't. That hurt.
Because you needed the money.
Because I had to do it for the money.
Right.
And I wanted to do that role bad. And I never had my shot at it. So yeah. When you have to do things when you do things for money, it feels good. You're able to do things. It makes you feel a little justified with a lot of things in life, but it does not give you the satisfaction of a great role.
Do you ever turn down jobs or auditions just because you don't like the material, or you don't think you can do the job you would like
some
to do?
things. Yeah, if I've turned down some things. I turned one thing down. What was that? I could see myself dying making this, and for a very little bit of money. Up in the cold, like tundra country or something. I could see myself falling apart. Huh?
Basic instinct.
Oh, Basic Instinct. Oh, George, yeah. Yeah, some things where I feel that something might destroy me in some way, I kind of don't do.
Mm-hmm. What do you think as a seasoned actor now, what do you find that you're better at, or maybe not as good at it as you were as a younger man?
I think that I will be better these days at comedy. But I haven't really jumped out, or made any efforts myself in that vein. I'm sure there's some plays that I could probably look at, But I like humor. I really like it when people laugh. I like a good cry. I don't think you've had a great experience in theater unless you've laughed and cried. I think you've got to have it all. When you come inside to a theater, you've got to be touched somehow. You've got to take something home with you, something that's very meaningful. And that is the excitement that I like in theater.
And we always like to ask our fabulous actors, inside the Screen Actors Guild Foundation here, what words of encouragement, what would you say to somebody who came to you that you really cared about in terms of, they said, Jim, how do I go about really, approaching this career, embracing this career in a way that's going to be good for me as a person as well as an artist?
Well, make sure you're with people that are serious and they're willing to work as hard as you're willing to work and are sincere as you are. And that'd be the main thing, real deep sincerity about what it is we're doing here. And I think that's it, really.
Well, and it's also, we also know, it's a business that kind of throws away its old and eats its young, and
that's a shame, isn't it?
It isn't for those who aren't hearty of spirit. And I always say to people starting out that you also have to have your life support your craft. It's like either a really strong belief in God or a firm conviction of atheism, something to pull you through those rough times,
Well, it's hard. It's come hard. I'm 67 now, and the older that I get, it's harder for me to believe. Oh, I'll never know what it is, and I know that. And there's nobody had been able to write an end to anything except a story or an epic or something like that, but not, everything's too big here. Everything's too endless. It's too almighty, is what it is. And that's perfectly okay with me. I'm not complaining here. I'm not complaining being a little speck, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Because I know I'm part of that big speck. Mm-hmm. And I don't know of any other way to explain that. But after I do think about it, the endlessness of it all, and the shortness of it all, ultimately, in the brief moments of time that we have, that we don't know are brief, till later, to reflect. But I'm glad that I've been an actor, I'll say that. I feel blessed to have been able to be an actor.
Well, I think we're blessed to have had you. Let's give a big hand to Mr. James
Hey,
Gammon.
thanks, you've been great. Thank you very much. You're kind. Thank you.